Greetings, Patrick here, 8 Questions with, and welcome to the first show of the week again. Uh, that's right. Let's see. Our guest today will be actress and author, motivational speaker, model, um, producer. There's all sorts of things that Kimber Leigh has done. And she is probably one of the most well-rounded folks we'll have talked to. She has done a little bit of everything. Commercials, she knows how to do publicity, which is really interesting because I really want to pick her brain about that. Today's world about how do you promote yourself in such a crowded area. Okay, my phone seems to wants to go goofy on me. Oh, here we go again. I have no idea why this is, but it's probably left over from yesterday. Oh, I have no idea why it wants to go goofy on us. Um, but anyway, we'll try to keep going best we can. Let me just see if I can plug it in. It's going to go goofy a little bit. It says it's powered up all the way, but I think I'm going to try just to keep it going here while it beeps like that until it settles down. Um, yeah, I have no idea. Let's see. No, it doesn't flash across the screen. All right. So this is the fun of the venture of doing live shows. You just never know what's gonna happen. So hey Dominic, how are you? And brother Max is here. We're doing okay. As long as my phone as long as it just stays right where it's at, we'll be happy. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to Kimber Leigh today, because all the things I mentioned, a very well-rounded person. She also is going to talk to us about, while she has worked a lot in Arizona, she lives in Hawaii, and this is the first time we talked to anybody in Hawaii. When she comes on, it's going to be 2 o'clock in the afternoon over in Hawaii. It's 8 o'clock here in Michigan, but only 2 o'clock in the afternoon where she's at. So how exciting is that? Hey Anthony, how are you? King Matthew, how are you? We are fine. We are having a show today, unlike yesterday. And my phone is really acting up all over again. I have to keep, I have to keep tapping it, I guess. Oh, that's so much fun. So annoying. So yes, yesterday didn't work out so well, but things happen, so we just move on. Um, for today and tomorrow, we also will be here tomorrow. We'll be talking to Laura and Joel, also known as the Newly Deads. They are a fellow YouTuber, horror channel, and we'll be discussing our favorite dollar movies. They do a series much like I do here, except theirs is a little bit more extensive. Theirs is a little bit more extensive. They do like a 30-minute, like a mini deep dive on the movies they get from their dollar store. Well, I don't know. I guess I do the same thing, right? Um, I guess I do the same thing. Um, Sometimes when I tend to ramble. But they do about 35-minute deep dive on their dollar movies. And I have been going through the archives. They produce it once a week. I've been going through the archives, and it is so much fun to go see what they reviewed and what they thought of it. Um, Sometimes they get some winners. All right, the doorbell has rang, so our guest is here a tiny bit early. But you know how it is over here. As soon as the doorbell rings, we get them on the stage because we don't want to make anybody ever have to wait. So thank you for showing up. Feel free to share us out, and let's go talk to Kimber Leigh. Good afternoon, or aloha.
Aloha.
That's right. That's about the extent. That's about the extent of my Hawaii. Other than maybe volcano and pineapples. That's about all I know. And
Well,
McGarrett.
mahalo, right?
Yeah, I think you used that. Mahalo is goodbye.
It's thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And I
So
do know one
mahalo
other.
for having me here.
I'm so happy to have you here because I mentioned before you got here that you are probably one of the most well-rounded professionals I've talked to because you've done so much in your career as an actress, as a model, as a what I was really impressed with was about the promotion part. You also make films in Hawaii, uh, which is uh, which is not easy to do. It's you always hear about TV shows going over to Hawaii, and it sounds so exotic, but not so much. It's expensive.
Yes, it is very well. Making film itself is expensive. I don't really think it matters where you're at, but the difference between here and the mainland is resources, such as actors, equipment, anybody that's versed in film. It's difficult.
Um, you would think that with all the shows and movies that have gone in Hawaii. You are based in Hawaii, though you work mostly in Arizona. Is that right? I mean, is that how it works? That you're based in Hawaii and go to Arizona to work, or are you based in Hawaii and working on making Hawaii shine?
So I'm based in Hawaii, but I grew up most of my adult life in Arizona and started out in film in Arizona, made lifelong connections with people. And so I often get invited to come back to Arizona to play, and I absolutely love it. Uh, and I wanted to state that there are 8 islands, and Oahu is the island where all of that activity is going on. They have 1.2 million people. We only have 286,000. I live on the Big Island. So there is talent here. There are ways to make films, but I just have not been able to connect in that genre yet. So hence the reason why I make Arizona my backyard and my home away from home.
Wow, yeah. You would think that with 286,000, there would be a core group of artists that would want to be making film, but you know what, it's not that easy. I mean, I've talked to people who live in big cities, and some of their communities are pretty big. It's funny that it seems like when you talk to people in smaller towns, it does seem to be more of an intense, there is more of a group there and smaller because there's just not much else to do. It's like, let's make a movie. Like the old Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland's. Let's put on a show. Well, I guess it's easier to do in small towns than big towns, but not always.
Well, I don't know if they know about me yet, but if they're listening, I'm here. And if you want to get together, I'm open. And
You have Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I, I was gonna say you have done so much. I watched your sizzle reel, and you do motivational speaking, you do commercials, you do voiceovers, you've modeled, you've produced, you've written books. Um, where did all this? We'll go back to the beginning a little bit, but where did all this come from? Have you always been have you always wanted to perform? Have you always wanted to speak in front of people? And
So back to the beginning, and tell this story in my book, Greta Garbage, Bitch. My grandfather, when I was growing up, uh, always shared with me about old Hollywood. He loved old Hollywood, and he liked Mary Pickford and Greta Garbo, and he would tell me stories about them and tell me that when I grew up, I was going to be as famous as any one of those women. And I was never in my thought process ever until he said that to me. And I was about 7. And but I ironically didn't get it. And well, let me back up for a minute. When he said I was going to be as famous as Greta Garbo, I went home and I shared that with my raging alcoholic mother, and her reply to me was, "Sweetheart, you will never be anything but a bitch, a Greta garbage." And so I didn't have the support growing up to believe in myself. But somehow along the journey, the universe opened up opportunity for me, one after another. And remembering my grandfather's words, I just was like, well, he believed in me and he saw something in me. So these are things I'm going to tackle and accomplish.
It does seem easier to lean into someone who supports you, to lean into that more than looking at the other person and going like, "I'll show you," 'cause it takes a lot more energy to sit there and stomp down and sit there and say, "I'm going to prove you wrong." It takes a lot of energy to do that, and you really can't enjoy what you're doing because you're too busy trying to get there, and to prove something. But when you have that loving support of a family, of a loved one, of a husband or a wife, it's like they believe in me whether this goes or not, but they're there for me, and I can relax a lot more, and I can go ahead and take more, and be smarter in my choices, and have a much healthier attitude. Do you feel that's right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my immediate family, my mother and my father, that it was such a dysfunctional way to live, highly, extremely dysfunctional. But to have that one family member who believed, and he passed long before I grew up. So there was never a way for him to know. But to have the support, to have that in my head, and then to meet beautiful people along the way outside of your family that do believe, that present opportunity to you. And then, of course, my husband, years later, not knowing much about me when he met me, but saw something in me too. And now he is, like my grandfather, that great support system, that one person that believes. And that makes all the difference in the world.
It really does. I mean, once you have that down, once you have that, even if it's just a one man support team or one woman support team, it's a lot better than having zero, and you can always build upon the one. It's a lot easier to build upon the one. Um, so what it came first for you as terms of career wise? Was it acting? Was it modeling? Was it writing? Um, what did you do first to start your journey to where you're at today?
Well, at the age of 19, I was found myself at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, where I grew up, and I was asked to be a still model for artists. So they would draw me. And I thought that was so fascinating, an art that I don't know if it's even still around today, but back then it was a, an introduction to the modeling. And then after that, I became a flight attendant for the first deregulated airline in the world, America West. And they had a nationwide commercial. They were looking for people to be in their commercial. And I thought, wow, well, let me try. I mean, my grandfather said. And so
Right.
I auditioned, and a lot of people had agents and experience, and I had nothing. And I got hired as the feature actress, and then I got bit by the acting bug. But
Oh,
what's interesting is the airline that I worked for, I had to work in all areas because we were deregulated. We had to work as a pilot scheduler, a flight attendant, a reservation agent, baggage handler, ramp agent. And so and I'm curious by nature. And when that happened and I got into film, I wanted to learn all aspects of filming. I wanted to learn how every job is done.
right, right. Makes you sort of indispensable. I remember America West. I remember the airline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
was.
was yeah.
They interviewed 5,000 people and hired 112, and I was part of that first group of flight attendant hires. And I put in 21 years, and I am retired from them.
I'm sure you had a lot of. I'm sure that's a whole different show right there. I mean, working for an airline. I mean, I'm sure you saw. I'm sure you saw your fair share of adventures.
I did. And the interesting thing about that is I love to work first class. So you're in front of people and you're always on. You're always, so why I say that is my biggest fear was flying. But every time I got in front of the cabin of people, I had to act like I wasn't afraid. And so I learned a lot of acting skills in that job.
How, now, how does that work? Where a crew member is scared of flying? I mean, did you ever overcome that? I mean, how did you? That is an interesting question for me to ask. Is like, how did you? I mean, I guess that really by you conquering that, I guess that really did open the door for you. I mean, if you could overcome being scared to fly, then everything else must have seemed a lot easier for you going forward.
Yes, and to this day, I'm still apprehensive. I had 4 emergency landings in my career. I had so many things happen, but every day that I landed and I was home safely, I felt good. I conquered that. Well, I shouldn't say I conquered it because I still have it, but I'm I'm okay with it. I mean, maybe I like to ride that level of fear. I'm not sure.
I used to be, I used to have no problem at all flying. I didn't really have any problem with it. It's like it was fascinating. Get the window seat and everything else, and I think what happened was I made the mistake of turning into watching Mayday, here on the tube, and I'm
Mhm.
watching them, and I'm watching, they're always there's stories about disasters that have happened, and I'm watching that show, and I'm going like, I thought flying was like, like the chances of me getting hit with lightning was more than it is for flying. But after watching a couple of those episodes, I'm not so sure about that. I feel like I'm more comfortable walking in my front yard in a thunderstorm than I am in a plane. Do people become more? I'm just curious now, but do people get more nervous to fly as they get older, or is it younger people that have it more? I think older people are probably just more like, okay, and young people seem to be, huh?
Yeah, older people are like, hey, whatever happens, happens. I've already
Well,
lived my
uh,
life.
so you retired from the airlines. Did you like sit there? What did you do like the day after after your last day? What did you do? Did you just sit down? And I have a feeling you're probably a big list maker. Did you write down a list of things that you wanted to do and the order that you wanted to do it? I mean, how
Uh,
did you how did you make it happen after you retired?
well, simultaneously, because there's a lot of free time, I worked 4 days on and had the rest of the week off. But simultaneously, while being a flight attendant, after the commercial, I dabbled in I was Miss Fitness US or Miss Fitness. So I was training for 4 years for that. And I was always doing something because I just have, like I said, a great curiosity. I can never satisfy it. I'm always curious what's next? What can I do versus what I can't do? I want to know, can I do this? And that is why I dabble in so much because the curiosity is never satisfied. So
Right.
when I retired with America West, I had already segued into the entertainment world and I found it fascinating. I loved being a part of film families and making forever. memories and friends. So yeah, it's always been a part of my life, but being a flight attendant had a lot of time to fill to dabble in something other than traveling the world.
It looks like you took full advantage of it too. Uh, like I said, you've done public speaking, you've done commercials, you produced your commercials, you hosted a series on animal rescue. I mean, there's just so much that you've done. I'm trying to figure out which came. I mean, you had so much on your plate. What came first for you as far as moving forward after your retirement? Did you decide to go into acting full time? Did you decide to do public speaking? Um, and
So
was that hard to do? Was that hard to do?
it's so interesting, Patrick, because my whole life, aside from the insatiable curiosity, my whole life has been a series of serendipity. So, how I got into the animal rescuer show, my brother had given me a camera. I didn't know how to use it. I posted a picture of it on Facebook and I said, "Hey, I have a camera. Who wants to film?" And a gentleman named Corey Mandal reached out to me and said, "Kimber, I'm producing the show called The Animal Rescuers. Are you interested?" And we ended up shooting 100 episodes. I was the host and the producer of the show. And then for the public speaking, this is a wonderful story. I went to a film event and I walked into the room, and this gentleman walks up to me, never met him. He's put a microphone in my hand and he said, "Kimber, I want you to start interviewing people." And I said, "Well, I've never interviewed anybody before." And he goes, "Well, you're an actress, aren't you? Can't you act like you know how?" So
Uh,
I took the microphone and I ended up interviewing he was on the president of the Coalition for Film Tax Incentives. And I just started asking him questions that I thought would be interesting, not knowing that I was asking him really tough questions. And I ended up getting a telly and I forget the other award, but yeah, everything that has happened has just been serendipitous. I never look for any of the things that you see. I don't look for them, they find me.
yeah, you did win 2 awards for your journalism. Did they consider? I mean, did you get that? Did you get the awards for the interview, or did you get it because? I mean, you must have won something for the animal rescuer show. You must have won something for that.
No, we never did anything with the animal. Well, the Animal Rescuers was picked up by an online TV show for 5 years. It was top rated. It was unbelievable. But nothing, and there were a few people that came in to try to elevate us. Nothing ever transpired. As far as the award for interviewing the president of the Film Coalition, I did win 2 awards for that. The gentleman that gave me the microphone, he has passed away. He was the one that submitted because he worked for the Daily Globe. So he submitted those, and that's how I won the awards for that.
Nice, nice. Uh, that's cool. That's it's interviewing. I mean, I'm sure you've interviewed a lot of people since then. How do you like interviewing people?
I like it a lot. I've done hundreds and hundreds of interviews. I also was the host of a show called In Sessions, which we did for the Microsoft Store. And we did, I think, 50 shows. So interviewed everybody under the sun for that inside the Microsoft Store. That was a fabulous experience. And I was green at everything that was ever presented to me, but that's how you learn. And so,
Right.
yeah, right.
I'm sure word of mouth got around though. I mean, I'm sure people were talking like, "Hey, you know, once one show ended, or someone would sit there and say, hey, I need a host, I need a speaker, I need someone to fire up my team." I'm sure people were recommending you left and right. Now, were you in Arizona when this was going on, or was this all in Hawaii?
No, this was all in Arizona. I didn't get to Hawaii until 2017. I came here on vacation and I met my husband and went back to Arizona and sold everything. And I've been living on the Big Island since then. But I have a very active film career in Arizona because I still have family there. So it's easy to go back. And I have made, like I said earlier, lifelong friendships that are just priceless.
Right, right. I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, you have met probably more people than most people meet in their lifetime. I mean, you're very
Well, I am
vivacious and you're
old.
huh?
I am older, so yes, that's true.
I would like to see wiser would be a good word to use. I think that would be appropriate because you gained experience. So as far as the acting goes, you got the acting bug. So now here we are. Are we going on auditions now, or are we doing the hosting now? Because you have so much on trying to put it in chronological order because you've done so much. I'm sure there's probably times where your acting overlapped your other commitments. As far as your responsibilities go for other shows. I mean, I saw on your website you have, or on your sizzle reel, you're speaking in front of looks like a corporate gathering. Um, did public speaking come easy to you because of the airline, or because to me it's like two different worlds? Was it easy for you to segue into that, into public speaking, or had you already started your acting career and so it made it easier to do that?
Public speaking is for me very, very different than acting because
Hmm.
acting, you are somebody else, you're portraying a character. In public speaking, the one way to connect to your audience is you have to be authentic and you have to know who you are. And uh, another serendipitous moment for me was meeting my mentor, Summers White, and he is in the Speakers Hall of Fame. He has given 3,000 speeches around the world. And that sizzle reel that you saw, I was introduced to him back in 2015, and he became my mentor. And he wanted me to be a public speaker. He didn't want me to be an actor. He wanted me to be just like him, a public speaker. And I trained under him, and I'm still mentoring under him now. 10 years later, I speak to him once a week, and he's an amazing human being, so much wisdom, but he taught me the protocol and the hidden secrets. But the opportunities for public speaking kind of vanished in 2020. So acting is something that was the very top priority in what I did. And that began in 2005 when I was introduced to the A3F Almost Famous Film Festival in Arizona. And I'm
Yeah,
still with that.
yes, you've done very well with them. You've won several awards for your work in Arizona.
Yes, the A3F has been, it's the best film school you can go to. And I failed there much more than I ever succeeded. But I am so grateful because I learned so many secrets that carry me through this day making film. And I'm glad I wasn't one of those teams that was always winning, always celebrating, because there's nothing to learn. You're just going to keep, I think, at a level of success, but never that heightened level of success.
I want to say hello to our good friend Tom has just walked in, and Lady Valerie is also here. Welcome, welcome. We're talking to. How would you? I would call you a multi hyphenate, but how would you describe yourself if someone's going to introduce you to a crowd, how best would we introduce you?
Well, the way you did in the beginning, a very well-rounded woman.
Okay, then that's what we're going with. That's what we're going with right here. Let's see. Tom mentions that Hawaii or Honolulu, Hawaii, was the setting for my favorite series, Magnum PI. But which
Yes,
Magnum? The old one or the newer one? Both I hear were pretty good. We'll have to let it. We'll have to see what we'll see. We'll have to see what he says. Whoops. I think our guest froze up. Yep. Yeah. This we're having issues. We're having StreamYard issues again. If you can hear me, Kimber,
I
just
can't.
back out. Oh, okay, okay. If you
No,
get frozen by any, if you get let's see. Wow. Okay. 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 I was gonna say if you get frozen, just let me know, or I'll notice that, and then I'll have you back out and come back in. Um,
okay.
Okay, so now we're going to go. Now in Arizona, you started your acting career in 2002, according to your IMDb page. So you had been dabbling in some acting for a little bit. So as you know, I think now that in 2002, now that was that after you had retired from America West, or were you doing both? Were you doing
I
acting
was
jobs?
doing, yeah, I was doing both. I was flying, and I actually, my route was New York and back in the same day. I would go there and return 3 days in a row, and then I would have 4 days off towards the end of my career. And in 2011, when that 911 happened, that's the day that I quit. I tried to quit and they wouldn't let me. They said take time off because I had had a dry run hijacking that May of that year, and it scared the daylights out of me. And again, I'm afraid of flying, right? So the last thing I
Right.
need is to experience that. But so in 2002, well, actually, my career in acting began in 1999, dating myself, but I was a featured extra in a feature film and I loved it. And from that moment on, it just Arizona just started to blow up and become a wonderful film community of independent filmmaking. And I am so honored to have watched it grow and become this little mini Hollywood of sorts.
How is the film? I mean, what community would you feel is more, because people don't think of Arizona as a place for filmmakers that much. But what do you think would be easier to film in if you had to choose to make a film? Would you go with Hawaii or would you go with Arizona, and
Oh,
why?
I would definitely go with Arizona because you could find anything that you need. Like I said, I've formed lifelong friendships. And if I need somebody who has equipment, you call Steve Wargo. Or if you know somebody, if you need actors, there's hundreds of them. And editors and just everything. It's basically, for those that don't know, then it would be considered like an underground film community. And how do you get in it? I think the best way to start is with the A3F, Almost Famous Film Festival. They've been around for 20 years. Uh, just an incredible, well versed community. And that's where, when they started, they created this spin off of all of these filmmakers. So, yeah, Arizona definitely.
Um, so talk to us about that. Were you on the first film that you worked in? You were a featured extra on the first film you worked on. Was that your first major film set?
Yes, it was. I can't remember the name of the film, and that director passed also. But I was with Faith Hibbs Clark, talent aid or acting agency, and I got the gig through them. And that was the first and last time I think I've auditioned here and there. I'm not a good auditioner because I only want that which is mine by my divine right. So I always say that out loud, and the work comes to me. I'm not good at auditioning. And then after I did that one feature film, I was put on a TV series called Hidden Palms. It was actually on regular TV. I literally sat on that set for 6 months every day as an extra. And I was, oh, I was put through the ringer. It was unbelievable. But I would, because I'm curious, I would sit there and watch everybody and everything. And I got an education that was priceless because
Yeah.
this is, yeah, right? This is
Yeah.
big. And
Yeah.
then they were going to pick me up and make me a regular. And 1 week later, the show got canceled. So I was
Oh man.
close.
Uh, uh, you mentioned about the auditioning part. Uh, I mean, do you is I mean, do you still hate the process now, or do you dislike it? I mean, does self taping make you feel a little bit more comfortable though, because it's just you and your camera? I mean, do you feel more comfortable doing it a self taping, or do you like doing it? Or I mean, you mentioned you don't like it, but or is it easier for you to do a live audition?
I would prefer the private because I am highly empathic. I get into a room full of people and nobody even has to say anything. I just start feeling all of their either happiness or sadness or fear, and it just throws me into a tizzy, and I can't then focus on what I'm supposed to be there for.
You know,
So
that's a really good point, Kimber. It's like, man, that is. I mean, you walk in inside of a giant room, and it's all these actors there, and they all want the same thing that you want. I mean, it's not like you have to be a mind reader. You don't have to. You just look at their faces, look at their mannerisms. I mean, holy crow! I mean, you got some people that are cool and calm, but they could be like ducks. They could be cool and calm on the outside, but paddling like crazy underneath the water. And wow, and then you got others that are just, biting their nails or running their lines. I mean, it's just like I guess you could probably almost get caught up in people watching more than anything else in a crowded audition room. Um,
yes.
are you by nature a competitive person?
Um, I would say yes. Uh, I don't know where it started, the competitiveness in me. Maybe it was because I was the only girl in a family of three brothers, and no one would pay attention to me because my dad would always take the boys. My mom was always drunk and drugged up. So I guess I was always competing for, hey, I'm here, hello. And that's an interesting question. I think that yes, I am,
Uh,
but in a good way. I compete against myself now.
I just got to ask. Normally, I wouldn't never ask this, but I'm a little curious now, and you yourself know probably where I'm coming from here. But did you and your mom ever make up? Did she ever get a chance to see you succeed?
No, my mom died when I was 50, in my teens. She
Ah,
drank a gallon of vodka a day. I wrote about it in my book. This is the book right here. It's called Greta Garbage, and it's a true story of life, loss, light, and love. And it was endorsed by Mark Victor Hansen, co-author of Chicken Soup of the Soul
mm,
series. He
yeah.
sold a 500 million books in his lifetime. A fascinating man. But no, my mom, it was a whew, very horrible journey with her. I never, I don't really remember her ever hugging me, loving me, or anything like that. But she died drinking in a hotel room and hemorrhaged to death. So no, she never knew. And yeah,
Mm.
And that's why I
Well,
do what I do, because I don't want my children. I do all the things I do to impress my children and my grandchildren, not impress them, but inspire them that
right.
you can do everything and anything you want without limits, because the only limits are the ones you put on yourself.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Thank you for answering a very tough question. I was sort of hoping for the Hollywood ending. I'll be honest with you. I was sitting there
Yeah.
hoping. I would like this. It's too bad because she missed out. She missed out on a great person, and that's her tremendous loss for her for sure. So here we are, 6 months on a network TV show, getting the education that many people spend tens of thousands, if not, tens of thousands of dollars at college, universities, going to acting school for 4 years. You get it in 6 months, sitting on the sidelines there, watching how a network shows run. So what did you do with that after that series ended? What was next for you? Did you I mean, you must have been a 1,000% more confident going forward. You're like, okay, I did this for 6 months. I sat and I waited and I watched and I learned. So where do we go after that?
So I start putting groups of people together, finding cinematographers and editors, and because I wanted to enter the A3F and I wanted to make, I just wanted to be an actress at that time. I had no taste in my mind to do anything other than that. But what I found kept happening is every time I would put a team together, the team would go somewhere else because somebody else had offered something better. And so I
Right.
would start all over again.
Ah,
And same thing would happen. And I just could never find a landing. So I
right.
thought to myself, well, there's actors are, there's so many of them. Then I started producing because I thought, well, if I was valuable in the production aspect, then I could be a part. But the same thing would happen again. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to be the director and the producer and the actor and work with and hire people and do it my way, because that way nobody can take from me what I've created.
Tell us a little bit. You mentioned several times, so let's talk a little bit in depth of this. The AF, the Almost Famous. Now, is that a conference? Is that a film festival? Like, is it like a 48 hours challenge? Um, Tell us a little bit about the AF3. Is it
It's
AF3?
A3F, almost
A3F.
famous. Yes, I
Almost.
am almost famous because of them. But it is a film festival. A gentleman by the name of Jay Statz started it in 2005. I had just come off of a full feature length film called The 49th Line with director Drew O'Kane, and it was shot in Silverton, Colorado. And the A3F, uh, and after that, in 2006, Drew O'Kane chose a couple of the actors from the feature film, and we entered the A3F. And that was the start of, for me personally, an incredible career of just everything. It opened up a pathway for me. And they are having a documentary done about them right now with Lethal Hobo Productions about the A3F, about how they've changed the lives of many, many people, many filmmakers.
What was it like? Film was that the 49th line? Was that your first feature film? Where you, with the speaking part? Was
Yeah,
that your
that
first? Oh, okay.
I was
Okay.
third credit billing. I played a biker chick, and I did have speaking lines. I that was a tough gig because it was cold, and I developed hypothermia because I wanted to impress the director so much that when they said cut, instead of repositioning me, I just laid on the bridge where they placed me until they would start filming again, because I wanted to show that I'm low maintenance. Yeah, I became
Well,
high maintenance because I got hypothermia.
well, you didn't know, but you're like you said, you're just trying to, show them I've heard the same thing from many actors. You're in good company, that's for sure. But I like the spirit, though. I mean, I'm sure he did as well.
Yes.
It sucked that happened, but still, I mean, I rather deal with something like that from someone who wants to be a team player than someone who just off to dashing off to the trailer. I just want to let you guys know in the chat, I do see you guys talking. Unfortunately, StreamYard is causing problems again. It's not letting me keep my camera focused. So I'm watching it. Every time it starts to fade off, I have to touch it to bring it back. It's a StreamYard thing. It happened once before. I do see you. I do see you. And I'll try. I'll contact you when I see your comments. So if you have questions you want to ask Kimber, feel free to drop them in. Okay. So now the 49th. So now you go back and now you do the almost famous. Almost famous. I like that. That's very cute. Um, so you do that. You have success there. Um, so now I want to talk about a little something with you because this is something I picked up right away from your website and your reel was you know how to promote. And to me, and you being a fellow interviewer, basically, an interview is a chance for a person to promote themselves or whatever they want to talk about. A lot of people, you tell them, hey, would you like to interview? Would you like to, can we get an interview with you? Most people go the other way, because it's, like I tell people all the time, out of okay, so maybe not this time. The women's filmmakers group, I got ambushed. You probably noticed that, right? Most of the time I put that out there, like, who wants to come over and do the show? I get like 3 or 4 responses. I got laid that time. I got laid out. Like there was over 100 people that contacted me to do this. And that's never happened before at all on any level. It was really cool to see though, because most of the time when you talk to somebody and ask them to interview they get the heebie-jeebies about it, right? But you've done a lot of promotions in your life. You've done in your career. I mean, I've seen you Dunkin' Donut. You worked with Major League Baseball, and there's so many out there that you've promoted and put out there in the public's eye. Um, how important is it now, especially as a producer? I guess I'll talk to you as the producer. How important is it now for actors and producers and directors to be seen, to look for the press? Before the press would find them, but now it seems to be like everybody's finding the press or trying to. Um, what is your opinion about promotion today? Do performers do enough of it? Do they do too much? Has social media eliminated the the journalism side of being interviewed? Um, I know a
Uh,
lot at you.
that's okay. I think from the standpoint of promoting yourself, it as long as you stay in your lane and you know that you are unique and different and authentic, you have to know your brand. You have to know who you are. What are you offering that is different from somebody else? Now, for instance, when I was on Facebook and I saw your post, I wasn't looking for anything. I was scrolling through. I saw that you posted it and I thought, oh, I have some work I'd love to talk about. So let me just try and see. And I put it out there. What makes me unique is I do live in Hawaii. So that's always a really good capture for someone to recognize. But I also feel that because I dabble in so much and I am versed in so much, that's also a very unique aspecting. But as far as your question goes, about actors or anybody in the film industry promoting, I love promoting. because if you
Yes.
don't tell somebody, how are they ever going to know? How are they ever going to find you? And it's not in a bragging way. It's just if you do it in an inspiring way, then it
Right.
then then it inspires another person to want to try it. And there should be no fear about, well, they'll get something and I won't. There is enough out there for everyone. There is
Yeah.
a role to be filled by everyone.
I was like I said, I was totally because before I would go to groups like and when I first started doing this, I would go to groups like the IMDb groups, and I would go in there and I say, who want to talk? Now I expected to get 10 or 15 people, but Kimber, I mean, there was times where I got zero. Like wow, I mean, they were there, supporting each other by going to their IMDb on the IMDb page. There, go over there and hit my page and help me rise up. And I'm going like, that seems to be an awful lot of hard work to do when all you have to do is could talk to someone like me and get you out there. It's like, it's I'm not that big, but I think I could probably I think my reach is a little bit bigger than someone coming there and hitting my IMDb page and sitting there going, "I tagged yours, don't go tag mine." To me, it's like I would want the public to find me. I mean,
Well,
it's great my peers know me, but I'd much rather have the public find me, right?
mhm. And it will happen, and it is happening. It's just
Yeah,
it's the journey, because once you hit, I don't know if you'll ever hit the upper echelon. I don't know if I will, but it's the journey, and I love the journey. It's keep the focus on that, because once you do hit the numbers, then what? Then what's the next step? So keep
right.
promoting. I love the way I love your 8 questions that hit me, and I was like, "Oh, I would love to do that." So you will find the right people. They will gravitate towards you.
I,
And
I just I just because before I did anything I was in live music for 10 years, and that was all about promoting. I mean, we had to promote our club, we had to promote the bands playing there. I mean, I got my was my education, condensed over 10 years, sort of like your 6 months on your series. By doing that, I learned that. And to me, it's like I was going to ask you, like, this, and I can hear you. I can hear you, saying yes. Now, do you turn around yourself? Do you go to different actors or what have you as a producer or as a director? Is that part of the job to go out there, especially if you're making a movie? Is that part of a director or producer's job to go out there and tell their actors to get out there and be seen, and to promote the project? Because it just seems so much that before an actor would come on set, do the role, okay, that's a wrap for Joe Smith, and then Joe Smith takes off um, to the next one. Uh, but I just feel like, and I want to know how you feel about this. Do you feel like an actor's job is now, it isn't as simple as just wrapping up and going to the next one? Is that they sort of have an obligation in today's world to sit there and like, hey, the movie's going to be coming out. Can you come out and do some press for it? Do you feel this? I mean, if someone asked you to do press for an acting project, do you feel it's put upon you, or do you feel like I'm glad to do it because I want the project to be seen?
yes, I mean, why are you on the project? You should be proud of it, and that you're a part of it, and help promote it, because honestly, if you're promoting someone else may see you and hire you for another job. But promoting is important for the project. Why are you making the project then? To sit there and do what?
Hmm.
So yes, right?
Right. Um, So let's talk a little bit about, because I want to get this in, because definitely we still got a lot to talk about. I definitely want to talk to you about some of the things that you worked on. I noticed, to me, like I always put in parentheses. I always give out a couple of projects that a guest has done, whether it been writing a book or an album or a movie or what have you. Um, Now I've noticed, I noticed a couple of films that you did. The recent ones was Housebroken, and one was the Cult Cartel. Um, Now, do you do? I mean, obviously, you don't do all your filming in Arizona per se, because you just said you did Colorado. But where do you do most of your filming? Where do you do most of your work at? I mean, I see a lot of projects. Are these all pretty much Arizona based?
The last, let me see, so one Arizona-based project a couple of years ago, together with ALS, A Wife's Perspective. I was honored to direct that and co-produce it with Liana Hubbard. This is her husband's story, and he has since passed from the disease. But that won international awards. I also directed another documentary called "Taking Your Crack at Filmmaking." With it was a documentary by Elena Thornton, and it was about how to make a film on an island with no resources, and it was taken from the comedy film short that I directed called Sand in the Crack. It's about us, four couples or two couples that are swingers and they don't know it. The one couple doesn't know.
Oh,
And all of those have won awards all over the world. So excited. And my right now I'm in the editing process for a film or documentary called Pick It Up America, Life's a Beach, and it is about Hapuna Beach, which is 1 mile from me. It's the most deceptive beach of all the Hawaiian beaches, and I wanted to make the documentary because I walk the beach every day and I see so many things that can be prevented, and there's a lot of loss of life when people come from the mainland because the beach does look deceptive. And so we're excited for that. That's coming out. And there was a fly on my screen. And I'm also going to write, oh, I just wrote a script that became award winning internationally called The Woman in the Mirror. It's a psychological thriller. I wanted to also take my crack at script writing because I think you become more powerful if you know how to do everything. Because if you, right? So I'm adding that. And I am doing one more film. It's in the pre production process. It's called The Lighthouse Cafe. I actually have a website called the Lighthouse Cafe on Ko-fi or coffee.com. And it's a place where people can go. It's going to be like a fantasy where people can go and capture the light within themselves. If they're missing it, they can go into this lighthouse cafe and suck it all up. So it's going to involve four different people, four different characters who are following a trail of letters to get them to this destination of where the light is.
it sounds like a family film.
You know what? You're right. I didn't, I, it's still in the process. I'm writing the script for it. And yeah, I have the treatment and I guess you're right. It could be a family film.
That's not a. That's actually a really good thing. Um,
Yes.
we do have a question. Tom has asked a question. It says, "Is it difficult to get film permits shooting a movie in Hawaii?"
Okay, Tom. Well, I'm one of those naughty filmmakers who loves guerrilla style shooting. And I have been brought up on that style of filmmaking, and I learned from many large productions that the filmmaker didn't have it. So I love to get in and get out, and so no film permits.
What's really funny is, like, during the pandemic, right? We heard all about everything was shut down. I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to somebody who was guerrilla filmmaking during COVID. So many. You thought the whole town had closed up shop, right? But
Right.
there were so many projects that were being done. that people had no idea that they were being filmed on, because of the pandemic. They were like, oh no, nobody can do anything now, and there they were. There's production companies all over Southern California working their asses off, and not telling anybody, not looking for SAG after approval or anything. They were
Mhm.
just making it happen. So
Yeah, there's many ways to make it happen. And if you're filming in a public building, you can put a sign out or like a piece of paper like this, even on the door, and just say, we're filming and we're going to use your image. And if you don't want your image used, please don't enter. And so there's a lot of ways around. You have to know the laws of where you're at when you're filming. But and I was in the middle of a comedy film once for the A3F, a 48-hour challenge, and we
I
were
knew.
we were filming outside, and this police officer came up because there was an actor impersonating a police officer. And we got reprimanded, and I was still in character, and I'm just like, oh, we'll be out of here soon.
I knew he had done. I don't know why. I knew he had done the 48-hour film challenge.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Let's talk about that
48,
for a second. Yeah.
72, 48 or 72 hours.
Now, how many of those have you done?
Whew. Let me see, 2006, 2007, 2009,
Oh,
2010, 2000, all the way up to 2025. So maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 or more. Hard to say.
oh man, I think that's so cool. I love the 48 film challenge. I think it's one of the most interesting things for a filmmaker. I just think if you're a director and or you want to be a director and you want to know if it's good, if you're going to be good at it or not, do the 48-hour film challenge.
Absolutely. And I have something to add about that. Like I said, I have failed more than I have ever succeeded. But when I fail at the challenge, I take the film back and I
Right.
dissect and I add to it, and then it becomes award winning. So if you do enter a film challenge, don't be discouraged if you don't make
Mm,
the top 20. Or if you do and you don't win anything, take the piece of work back and baby it and give it some TLC, and you're good to go.
right. Yeah, I would. Why? Yeah, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you just? Wow, I wonder how many directors have maybe they didn't make it and they just discarded the film. Ah, it'd be such a waste. It'd be
Yes,
such a. It'd be.
even filmmakers that have made films, good films, and they stop halfway through the editing process, and you're like, well, wait, I gave you all my time, my talent, my energy. I don't understand that either, because they could be so successful.
Yes. The first time I ever talked to a filmmaker, Conrad Farja out of Cleveland, and he talked to us about the first time at a 48 film challenge. Man, I just like, to me, it's like that's something I would love to cover.
Mhm.
I'd like to sit there and sit there and watch that. Maybe not 6 months, but 2 days. I think I could handle that. I can watch that. It's so dynamic. And you definitely cut your teeth, as far as you want, if you want to become a director or not, do that.
That's Yes, definitely do that, because that will show you what you're made of and your team.
Now, I want to go back to one thing though. You mentioned the documentaries, um, the beach at Hawaii. I'm taking that beach is not a very good place to go to. It's unsafe.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Well, no, it's beautiful. It's one of the top 10 beaches in the world. But it's unsafe if you don't understand how the beach operates. There's a lot of lava rock underneath. If it's low tide, you can see it, it's visible. Obviously, you're going to stay away from it. If you go to the beach and it's high tide and you're not familiar with it, and you get smacked by a wave and it rubs you against that. It's terrifying. There's a lot of rogue wave. There's one big rogue wave at Hapuna that will bring you in and then suck you back out. And if you're not a
Mm.
good swimmer, so you have to know the lay of the land. And a documentary has never been done on this particular beach. So I'm really excited to share with the mainlanders how when you come to Hapuna, just some things to look out for. Please watch your children. A lot of parents just let their kids go play in the ocean, but the ocean has a rhythm to it. You have to count the waves. They come in sets of 8, and it's that 8th wave that will come in and just knock you over. And more importantly, never turn your back on the ocean, because if you
No.
do, people have broken their backs, their necks, because it's such a force that hits you. So those are
Wow.
just some of the things that we've covered.
My brother lives in Portland, and he lives in outside in Portland, out in Oregon, and he says beaches up there. It says you got to be really careful about them because they have what they call sneaker waves. I said, "What's a sneaker wave?" He says, go to Tube and look at it, and it's scary as hell. I mean, you're out there just minding your own business. The waves aren't very big. They come in. Next thing you know, you think you're safe because you're on the beach, and the water will just come shooting all the way up there and grab you. And it's just like,
Yes,
holy crow. Um,
yes.
so yeah, that sounds like it sounds like a really needed documentary. But what kind of reception do you think you'll get though from Hawaii? From other people from Hawaii. What do you think it's? Do you think I'm curious to see what kind of reaction you get to it. Will you get a positive reaction to it, or will you get people who are, oh, you're gonna help scare the tourist away? That type of mentality.
I'm going to prefer to think that it's because it's educational, that it's going to be well received, because
Yeah.
you'll hear the lifeguards repeatedly telling everybody, the way this is a bad time to go in, but people have their headsets in, they're not listening. It's going to be highly educational. And when you do go to the beach, you should always check in with the lifeguard first anyway, because they will tell you what's going on. And the beaches here in Hawaii are not the beaches in California. People come here. My husband's a dive instructor, and they say, "Oh, don't worry about it. I dive in California." Yes, but
Yeah.
we are a lava rock island. There is lava everywhere, and it cuts like glass. But to
Yeah.
answer but
Yeah.
to answer your question, I'm going to claim that is going to be well received because of the education behind it.
Right.
And and I love this Aina with all my heart, and I'm giving back to the island in that way because it's housed me. So
The other film you mentioned that you produced together with ALS, A Wife's Perspective. How did this get off the ground? Because you're basically were you filming their day-to-day lives? I mean, were you embedded with them for with the husband and wife? Were you embedded? Did they come to ask you, or did you ask them if you could film them? How did that happen?
another serendipitous moment in my life. I was in bed one night, and Liana Hubbard contacted me through Facebook Messenger. We had a mutual friend years back. Her name was Katrina Matusik, and she had passed away. And I spoke at Katrina's celebration of life. And Liana said that I touched her and she trusted me. And she said, my husband has ALS, and I need to tell his story. And she asked me if I knew, because I was living on the island. She said, do you want to, or do you know a director who would want to make the film for me? And I told her I would be so completely honored to direct the film and to write it for her. So I wrote it, and then I hired another director, Diane Dressback, and her son was the cinematographer because I love working with people that are smarter than me, and I learned a lot through their working with them side by side. So we flew to Hawaii or to the Arizona, and we shot it in a few days, and then it was edited on the mainland, and it did very well. And it's still out there, making waves in the film festival circuit. And David Dornell, who is Liana's husband, has since passed. He passed away in March. And we are grateful that we had that opportunity to make that film so that anybody else that is struggling can learn another educational film.
I was watching the football player. They called him Mongo,
Yes.
Steve McMichaels, and that guy's heart was. He got nominated for the Hall of Fame, and or there. Oh, he was going to get nominated. He was waiting for the nominations, and he was hanging on. He says, "I'm going to wait till they nominate me," and and he did. I mean, he was really, really sick. I mean, I think everybody really thought, except for maybe him and his wife. I think everybody thought that he was not going to make it. When I saw the interview on ESPN, I'm going like, I don't think you're going to make it. And to me, it's like, if he's going to be nominated, someone needs to tell him now. Don't make him wait. Let him know now because he might
Mhm.
not be. Well, he made it. He
Wow,
made it. You know,
that's
and then afterwards he says, I'm gonna be up there with you guys during the induction. I gotta tell you, Kimber, I believe the man. I thought I was sitting there going, yes, you will. And you know what? I would not be surprised if he got out of that damn wheelchair, walked across the stage too. Um, Sadly, he didn't quite make it, but still, the fact that he must have just by sheer power of will, he must have stayed alive for another 6 or 7 months past. I mean, that's how determined he was. And
yeah.
when you mentioned he shot that, and I'm going like, yeah, um, I'm sure that was pretty powerful stuff. I mean, a lot of tears involved in that.
Yes, I can't watch it without crying. And Liana wanted to do a wife's perspective from the standpoint of, unlike the gentleman that you're talking about, that they have enough money and resources and can take care of anything that comes their way. But she wanted a documentary for the opposite of that, for somebody that has nothing. She lost her job. He was unable to work, obviously, and it was devastating. So, this documentary is how people can treat the person that is diagnosed, and how to, because this disease affects every member of the family. And
Yes,
yeah, and because they're inside their body, they're normal, but they can't move. It's the
yeah.
most horrific disease.
It's like locked in syndrome. You
Yeah,
know,
it's horrible.
it's like you look at somebody, that they're there, but they just can't move and articulate. That's just, it's just, yeah, that's
It's
just,
horrible.
um, well, I think it's a terrific, now, if we want to see that, is it still playing festivals, or is there somewhere that we can see it, like Amaletto or on your website? Are there places that we can see this documentary?
So it's still running the festival circuit. Liana is putting together a nonprofit called Wives for ALS, and it will be on her website. The trailer just got done for it, and so I don't. It's I don't have the website address right now, and I don't know if it's active, but it is in the process of being built. So
When
I
it when
will.
it gets active, you just reach out and just, hey, Patrick, it's up and running, and then we'll put it down in the description box down below so people can see it.
Okay.
Uh, uh, has that been your most? Has that been your? Has that has was that your most personal project that you've done? Maybe outside your book. Has this been the most personal project that you brought to fruition?
Uh, I'm I'm gonna have to say yes, yes, because I was also the interviewer as well as the director. So I interviewed every family member, including David himself, and whew, getting choked up. It was difficult, so very, very personal. I don't know how Liana did it. She cared for him for 2 years before he passed, but yes, very personal.
Yeah, yeah. I'm asking because I've been touched too. So it's just like I'm just curious. Like wow. I mean, that would be like you said. It would be something of honor to do. Uh, but it's
Yes.
got to be the most super incredibly hard. Well, let me share some good news while we got a chance. Lady Valerie is keeping me abreast of the Yankees and Red Sox, and said that the Yankees have won tonight, and so they're going to be in Game 3.
Yay.
Yay, go Yankees! Are you a Diamondback fan though? Are you a big Arizona sports fan?
I used to be huge. I like all sports. I don't
Mhm.
really like the Steelers used to be my biggest Pittsburgh Steelers because I grew up in Pittsburgh and we lived 1 mile from the Pittsburgh Stadium. So, but yes, I do love the Diamondbacks. I flew them all over for all of their games. I was at the World Series with them when they won. It was just incredible. So, but go New
Had,
York.
had, had, had to bring that one up, huh?
Yeah. And I will be in New York in February. I'm walking New York for Fashion Week for RX Runway. I just got my information today. I'm so excited. So
Uh,
thank you,
what what
RX.
did what what did you do for Major League Baseball? Because you mentioned you worked with them. So what did you produce commercial? You've done commercials as well. Um, what is the biggest difference between producing commercials like for a baseball team? What's the biggest difference between doing a commercial like that versus doing like a short film?
So I didn't. I was a flight attendant for simultaneously while working for America West. I worked for Sports Jet, and I flew all 50 ball teams, all football, baseball, hockey, basketball. I knew all of the players. You could I could. I had such a talent that I could get on the airplane, walk from the front to the back, and I could tell you if it was a winning team or a losing team and I was never wrong, but I never bet. But it was because I'm so empathic that I could feel the energy of and their mentality of where they were at, the coaches, the everybody, the whole group. So, but I never did a commercial for them. That's how I knew them from being their private flight attendant.
Yeah, that would be a book all of itself right there.
Oh,
What percentage of the players would you say were sort of knothead? Were knotheads. When they lost, were they more behaved when they lost or when they won?
so it's interesting because each genre, basketball, football, they're all different, right? So the
Yeah.
basketball players are different. It and they're all different individually. Like you're walking down the plane and this guy's reading his Bible and this group of people are gambling and this guy is watching something on his computer that he probably didn't want me to see or I shouldn't have seen. So there was so much going on all at one time. But if they won, it was interesting. There was if it was baseball, there wasn't a lot of celebrating. It was total zoned in focus. And if it was football, it was definite celebration. And if it was basketball, the basketball players were always just headphones on and gold jewelry and totally into themselves. So
Mm. It's
yeah.
Yeah, pro players are interesting that way. Uh, So what is going on? What's next for you? I mean, what's coming up for the rest of 2025 and heading into 2026?
Okay, so where are we? 2025. I still have a few films running the film festival circuit. I'm excited to see what happens towards the year's end, where I end up, where I'm going with the film festivals. Um, I am finishing up that script, Lighthouse Cafe. Oh, and I also have another one called Non Esola. I haven't released it yet. It's pretty much the sister script to The Woman in the Mirror. Love them both. I'm so excited. I'm waiting for the right time to let that go. And I just got done walking Hawaii Fashion Week here a week ago. And I'm walking New York Fashion Runway in Manhattan for February 2026. Let's see. There's Kimber's going everywhere, doing everything because
Right.
oh, and tomorrow's my birthday. So,
That's right. That's right. So
with
we will be the first to wish you a happy birthday.
yay,
Got any plans?
I don't. I live every day as if it's my birthday because there isn't a day to waste. There really isn't. With all the loss that I've had in my life as a woman, I appreciate each and every day. That's why I work so hard. Why I try to do so much because just anything could happen. And I have a lot inside to get out, so don't have a lot of time to do it.
Um, I mean, do you still do public speaking as well?
Yes, when asked, I just did some of it for Alliances, which is an entrepreneur group that you saw on my website. That's the entrepreneur group. I've been with them for just celebrated my 10-year anniversary being part of their group. I do a lot of public speaking for them. I used to do more of it when I was in Arizona when asked, but being in Hawaii, the opportunity isn't as great. But if it presented itself, I would certainly love to.
Uh, I think it's going to be an exciting rest of the year going forward for you and next year. Um, I love the enthusiasm you have for film festivals. Do you like most of your film festivals? I mean, what do they do for you and your projects? In your opinion, how do they help you as a filmmaker?
Well, there's a lot that a film festival can do for you. If it's a prestigious one and you have basically, I love film shorts because I don't have the income to make a full production. When you go to a film festival, there could be somebody there with the means to take your idea and recreate it on a larger scale. If you've written a script and you submit it to a film festival, it's a good way to determine whether you should turn it into a film because if it's award winning, then yes. If
Right.
it doesn't get accepted, then don't waste your time. I love some of my favorites are the Misfit Film Festival, which is in November, and the Show Low Film Festival, which is in October. Those are the local ones that I love in Arizona. And then I have created so many relationships worldwide with festivals all over the world that wouldn't have known me if I hadn't submitted. So they're good on many levels to get your name out there, to get your work seen. When your work becomes award winning, it elevates you to your next level
Right.
too.
Let me ask you this as a producer: if you had a chance to, produce your film, and you had your choice of, you had three directors you could hire from. What three directors would you pick to produce your dream project?
Do you have another question? I don't know. I can't
Okay,
say.
can we do? Will actors be easier?
Um, no, because here's where I'm at. I think the reason why I'm struggling to answer this is I'm independent. I
Mhm.
love the independent genre because it's can you do it? And if you take it to a Hollywood level, then I'm doing a disservice to where my passion lies, which is independent filmmaking.
Yeah, it
I'm
does seem like the suits have taken over the studios. I mean, the fact, yeah, I mean, I think all the, whenever someone was running a studio, they might not been the best, you know, maybe not been the ideal person, but at least you knew one thing. You knew that they absolutely loved film. Whether they approved the movie or not, or budget. At least you knew that they loved film. I agree with you that, I mean, today it's, the people who run Disney, Columbia. I mean, look at Larry Ellison's now running Paramount. Larry Ellison is I know who Larry Ellison is, and it's like the last person you really want running the studio, because he has no imagination. He's just a corporate guy. He's a bean counter, and there is just there's no love anymore. Only on the acting level, directing level, producing level. That's where it's at. But the people who are, controlling the purse strings, they're sitting there calculating before a movie gets made, what's it going to make? Like, and, instead of just making it for the joy of it, like, I don't need to spend $200 million on Lord of the Rings. I could do it for 75 million, and I could do it and make it fun. But now they're sitting here going like, well, if we invest $200 million, it's got to make $800 million return. It's like, but you're taking all the joy out of it. You're looking at it as a puzzle. It's not. There's no emotion behind it. As far as the people running the studios, there's no heart. And I think that's the reason why a lot of our films, I mean, people really, it's a, like we were talking about earlier about promoting it. It's hard as hell to make your film stand out in today's world. Um,
but
but I love indie films.
I believe if you I would want to work with someone that had a lot of passion, a
Mm.
passion for the art of filmmaking rather than putting together a production. There's a difference between the production of the film and actually giving it all your heart and blood, sweat, and tears because you love it that much. And I love it that much. I don't know who those other people would be, but if they worked with me, they would have to have that level of passion and what you said, imagination. The society stop using their imagination. Use your
Yeah.
imagination to solve your problems right there. Use your imagination to see things differently. That's so filmmaking to me is an art. That's what my grandfather instilled in me. And that's where I'm going to hold it right there.
Uh, I see. I'll go over to the chat. Says Tom says yes, it's true. Freedom in Hollywood is rare. Creator freedom is almost gone. You just look at network TV, and for that, there's nothing. And I mean, it's just ridiculous, what they've done with TV. It's on its way out anyway. I think that TV as we know it is going to be gone within 10 years, 9 years, 9 or 10 years. The only one was Stanley Kubrick. He was an exception. Stanley Kubrick was tough because he came from independent filmmaking. I can't give him a total free pass though, Tom. I mean, he was and filmmaking is a people-oriented business, and sometimes Stanley Kubrick forgot about that. You don't make movies without people. Uh, though I dare say, thanks to Tilly Norwood, I could be wrong about that. All right. Well, I see we have hit our button here, so I want to go ahead and say thank you so much to Kimber Leigh for coming out and hanging out with us. And I had a very enjoyable time talking with you, and thank you so much for your time. I had a lot. It was he offered a lot of really cool, insightful things, and I really want to see your documentaries. I really
I'm
want
gonna
to see those.
send it to you. I'll send it to
Uh,
you.
and I want to thank the chat for coming out here, small and mighty. Thank you for coming out and hanging out with us today. I appreciate it. I wouldn't be here without you guys. And tomorrow night we'll be back. 8 o'clock. We'll be talking with Joel and Laura from the Newly Deads, and we're going to be talking about we're physical media collectors. We love collecting physical media, and so but we don't we like to spend as little money as possible because we're poor. So what we try to do is we go around and we hunt for movies that we can get for the cheapest price, and then we come back and then we review them. So I call mine dollar theater. They call theirs dollar drive-in. And so we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about that as far as collectors of film. Are you a physical media? Do you collect films yourself, Kimber?
I do. Yes,
Nice,
yes.
nice.
And I love to support independent films. So anything that is in that genre, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have bought my fair share. Even though I do it, I have in the past. If there's a, someone has done a independent film, I will go out there and I will, if I watch it and I enjoy it, I will go out there and say, yeah, let's get a copy of it. I will say I'm not afraid to say I'm not afraid ashamed to sit there and say there are some movies that I have watched that are independent that I would not pay for. I just wouldn't do that. I mean, if I get a used copy, all right. But if I'm going out there and you're asking me to spend $20 for something that's my cat is looking at me sideways on, then I'm not going to do that.
There
Yeah,
is one independent filmmaker out there that I want to give a shout out to that you should
sure.
watch his films. Brian Skiba, Skiba, makes some incredible independent films. So
Yeah, I love I love that because most of the people I talk to are independent. If you go back, if you see my playlist, you go through them all. They're all independent filmmakers. Very
Mhm.
few do I have. I mean, on one hand or two hands, maybe I can tell you people who I would consider, like upper tier. Most of the people I talk to are indies. I love it. I think the movies are fantastic, and so yeah. So I'm a total supporter of independent film, but I'm not one of those to sit there and say the movie's really bad. Yeah, but he made a film at least. I'm not one of those. I do believe that I do believe that if you can make a film, you can spend a little time and make it right. You don't need to go out there and, hey, I got a camera, let's make something, and then have it come out and turn out not very good. I think that filmmakers, sometimes I think they sell themselves short. Like I can't do this because I only have a $1,500 budget. Who says you can't? Have you tried yet? I
Mhm.
mean, so but yeah, I have a couple of interviews I'll send your way.
Okay.
And because a couple of some of the questions I was asking early on in my series, yeah, I'll ask you that I'll ask you that off camera, and then you can tell me your opinion. All right, that is it. Thank you so much, and we will be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock with Joel and Laura. Thanks for coming. See ya, and happy spooktacular. Peace. Oh, don't do that to me.
Whew.
Come on, StreamYard. All right, there you go. There we go.